Hi you guys, welcome back to the Joy of Gay Sex series on Charlie's Edition. I'm Charlie, aka Miss Charlize. And definitely if you want to hear about the topic of blowjobs and 69ing, go back on my video and check that out. Talked a little bit about that, even showed you guys a picture of exactly what 69ing is in case you guys don't know what that is. Or never heard that term or whatever, but I'm sure a lot of people has heard that term, know what it is. Straight folk, lesbians, gay folk know exactly what that is. So, this next topic that I want to talk... Really? I'm sorry, guys. It's just full of distraction, like, fucking... Sorry. My stupid neighbor is irritating me, keeps calling me while I'm busy doing stuff. I'm getting text messages. I'm like, I'm in the middle of live recording. I cannot help you right now. But anyway... this next topic that I want to talk about is something that I must say that I have had fantasies about and very interested in. I'm not going to sit here and lie, but it does turn me on as well. It turns on a lot of people. A lot of people have fantasy about it. A lot of people do it. There's a lot of big freaks out there who love doing it. It's like an everyday thing to them. They cannot have sex without doing it. A lot of people... experiment with it, but are maybe scared with it, but it's a very hot topic. And that topic, ladies and gentlemen, is bondage and discipline. Another term for S&M, all that stuff. Very hot. Can be very hot, and a lot of people, yeah. So, I'm going to read to you guys exactly what bondage and discipline is, for those of you who don't know what bondage and discipline is. So, here we go. Bondage always implies domination, but not necessarily as men. Some men like the sweet agony of being tied up and then subjected to a long blowjob, to which they can respond only with groans, or to having their body licked and caressed until they're mad with pleasure, or to being screwed in the mouth or in the ass while they wither, unable to do anything to stop the action. Other men prefer being the dominator. They like nothing than to handcuff their partner or tie him light or tightly to the bedpost or bedboard to feel complete control over him. The domination can be teasing, gentle, or rough. When it is a part of S&M sex, bondage is an extreme dramatification or dramatization of the master-slave relationship. The master is in such control that obedience is no longer an issue. The thrill for the slave comes from being completely dependent on the master, and the complete trust this dependence signifies. What to use in bondage? Women and some men prefer softer ties, silk, satin, any material that is completely pleasurable to the touch. Others prefer leather thongs and wear them wrapped around their neck or a dog collar when they go out at night, as advertisement and indulgement. Still others use anything handy. Telephone and electrical wiring, bed sheets, towels, metal and plastic police restraints, just as long as it fits into the roles being played. The biggest turn-on, and conversely the biggest problem in bondage, is control and the lack of it. While the master's control is crucial and indeed desirable to some degree, the exact degree of control ought to be decided upon in advance by both parties. This will keep the bondage and a sexual turn-on and keep it from becoming a dangerous, frightening experience. We assume you've chosen someone trustworthy to tie you up. To do otherwise is to place yourself in a particularly dangerous position. For example, a friend of the Arthurs was sitting at home one evening. His doorbell started ringing and didn't stop. When he opened the door, he found his next-door neighbor on his knees, naked, arms and legs bound by rope, ringing the bell with his nose. After having sex, his trick had left him bound and robbed him. So yes, you definitely don't want to do anything like being tied up or bound or anything like that unless you completely, absolutely trust the person 100% and you both agree to doing it. You don't want to just do it with a complete stranger because yes, basically they will tie you up and rape you and possibly rob you, just like it just said here. So yeah. It can definitely be a pleasure, but you want to be careful who you do it with. Since the wider publication of Robert photos of rubber and leather encased men in the film Pulp Fiction, with its examples of the same, other kinds of bondage and discipline have become more popular. Sheathing your body with the full rubber or leather body glove, some of these are artistic, expensive, made-to-order items. They can be tailored to fully enclose the body except for a few brief holes with zippers over the mouth, eye, penis, and anus slits. Often the encased man is stood up in a corner of a room, then hung from, carefully, set up wires or set upon shelving, in effect becoming an exhibit, a piece of human decor. Or opposite to being exhibited, he might instead be hidden away, further encased in coffin-like boxes and closets. Obviously, this is a fairly exotic way to get your kicks, and definitely not for the claustrophobic or easily bored. Still, it has its devotees. So, there's of course different levels of extreme bondage. I mean, there's light bondage, there's extreme, being hung from things, being whipped, all that stuff. It's very crazy. I personally would like a more lighter bondage or whatever, but at the same time rough. It's very hot. The bondage seen in gay life can be, or can go beyond sexuality in other, even more arctic ways. The famous mineshaft in New York City used to hold its bondage club's meetings on Sunday afternoons, and it wasn't surprisingly to walk in on a half-dozen young men tied up in a heavy hemp rope in all sorts of positions, and to have a lecturer in front in full British, admirably dressed, explaining the eccentricities of the 19th century English marine knots being used. A lecture that, save for the naked, writhing bodies, might be held in any museum with precise terminology, wooden pointer, and avid listeners. Discipline used to be considered intrinsic to bondage and paired with it, the two shortened to read as B&D. This is less true today, partly due to the huge growth of the gay leatherman scene. With SM now such a large and complex sector of the gay community, discipline can consist of anything from insults and verbal abuse by the master to a slave to the most brutal kind of physical torment. All of it must be an exceptional priority to the slave being disciplined, or it has no meaning or context within the relationship. Should you find yourself in a sexual situation with a stranger who tries to talk to you into bondage or discipline, or who, without asking your permission, begins to tie you up or discipline you verbally or physically, stop him immediately and tell him you're not interested. If he persists in the behavior, instantly get yourself away from him and out of the situation. Don't bother explaining yourself or defending your position. Even if he's merely insulting you, you don't need the abuse, you don't deserve it. So once again, it can be a very huge turn on, or it could be a very bad thing. So be sure you know exactly who you're doing it with. Make sure you trust who you're doing it with 100%. And most of all, be sure that you're 100% comfortable with somebody doing that to you, because you never know how it might turn off. Always make a safe word for when you're doing stuff like that. And you could just definitely learn what your turn-ons and turn-offs are when it comes to bondage and discipline. Alright, so let me know what you guys think about this topic. And here's another picture of an example of bondage. And like I said, straight couples do this as well. Straight couples, lesbians, everybody. Every type of sexuality has, I'm sure, done bondage of some sort. Being handcuffed, being tied, whatever. It can be a very hot experience, or it can just be something that you try once and never want to do it again. Yes, there you go, guys. So there is today's 2 topics of the day, and definitely make sure you leave your comments. Let me know what you think about today's 2 subjects. Tomorrow I'm going to do another 2 subjects, so be sure to tune in tomorrow and let me know what you guys think about that. Alright, thank you guys very much for tuning in, and like I said, be sure to check out my other YouTube channel, Crossdressing Janice 08, right here on YouTube. All you gotta do is put it under search and you'll find me. So, holla back and let me know what you guys think. See you soon.